Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I'm your host, Srethne, and every episode I bring a comic from all over the country as my guest. And I'm really honored to have this guest on my show because I was hoping to see him on tour in Daytona Beach, and I was hoping to conduct a meeting in Daytona Beach at my homeroom, but the whole pandemic set everything back. But I'm glad because I get to do it this way instead, because we have a lot of mutual friends, and he's the first comic I attended to see, I believe, that I'm interviewing. Um, and ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is MoAlexander. Hey Mo, how are you?
What's up, my brother? How you been?
I'm doing, my brother. Thanks for being my guest today. It means the world to me.
Hey, of course. Thank you for reaching out and asking me to do this. That's my pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome. Indeed, I figured we have so many great mutual friends, and it's such a small world with stand-up comics, and
Yeah.
with Charlie McMullen as my artist for the fest, and you, and that's how my connection first started. It's like I gotta meet this guy. He sounds amazing. So, and I love your jokes. So I saw you on the Zoom show on Lindsay Lazer's birthday show, and I'm like, this is
Okay.
just
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
fun. That was a lot of fun. I got to finally work with one of my. I've known Mia Jackson for like 5 years, but we've never worked together. I've never met her in person, but we've talked on the phone and so that was the first time we got to work together. It was a Zoom show, so it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, I had a fun time too, and it was fantastic. It was great. So
Thanks. No,
Mo,
go ahead.
and, oh for sure, go for it. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's okay. I talk a lot. I'm sorry. Just go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Oh,
your
you're
guest. You do your show. I'm just here for you, dog. I'm just here.
awesome. Well, I'm honored you're my guest today, and taking for time out and all that good stuff. And Mo, your comedy influences are Bill Hicks, Paul Mooney, and Richard Pryor. And you mix intelligence and debauchery into your stand up. And how did you why did you name those fellas as your influences, and how did you discover your voice in stand up?
Because those are my influences. Seriously, I grew up watching George Carlin and Richard Pryor, and they were. I mean, I was born. I'm 50 years old, so when I was born in the 70s. So I really saw Richard Pryor and George Carlin back when they were fire. I remember watching Carlin on SNL back in like 75, 78, whatever, and just loving all that. I'm a little kid. I didn't get half the jokes, but I'm just like, I love this guy. I love this guy. And then before, the only two comics I ever saw in person before I started stand up was George Carlin and a guy who became a good friend of mine, Reverend Billy C. Works. Those are the only two shows I saw in person before I became a comic. And what I love about Carlin is he didn't do stupid comedy. You know what I mean? It was very intelligent. It made you think about why you were laughing at things. Same with Richard Pryor. And later on, after about a year into me doing stand up, I discovered Bill Hicks, and I threw away my comedy notebook that day. I was like, nope, we gotta restart everything. I can't be doing this bullshit. No, we gotta redo it. So a year after I started, I just threw everything away and started again. And it took me like 3 or 4 more years to find my voice, which it is my voice, but it is influenced by people who tell the truth in comedy. If you can take truth and make it funny, why make anything up?
Absolutely. That's where my comedy comes from. It's like my truth, but I embellish it a little bit just to make it spicy a little bit. So
There's always going to be a little bit of embellishment, but I tell anybody, 99% of my stories are 100% true. That 1% of embellishment just takes it and makes you like, did that really happen? It makes you question what I said, but it's a real story. It might be a little goofy. Maybe the possum didn't actually talk to me, but everything else, we saw each other right here. Like, yeah, I see you, you see me. I'm gonna talk about your ass. Yeah, so yeah.
absolutely, indeed. Especially talking to possums, it's awesome.
I've had the weirdest luck in the past 4 years with possums. It's very weird. They decided so I didn't even know we had possums in Memphis, and for some reason my house has become their home base. They just like to come in and say hi and weird me out at all hours of the day. It's really weird. That's why I'm getting my house redone now, and we found that there were some holes we didn't know about. That's how the possums were just walking through my house. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So it's a long story, but yeah.
Indeed, most definitely. And uh, so you've also been headlining comic clubs all over the country for 20 years. And what was like? What are some of your favorite comic clubs that you performed at in the past 2 decades?
Oh my God, you trying to get me in trouble? I mean, there's a lot of great clubs in America. There's some of my favorite clubs ever are like the Stardome in Birmingham. That's a 600 seat amphitheater. It's just huge and it's massive. And you walk out, and when you get that crowd on your side, you actually feel the a pressure wave of laughter hitting you back. It's insane. Um, I played the Ice House once or twice out in Pasadena. Same thing with that. It's not an amphitheater, but that the way the crowd is seated, it hits you. Um, well, Stand Up Live in Huntsville, Alabama, great room. The old Funny Bone. There's a Funny Bone in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, many years ago, uh, in a mall that was amazing. It was so much fun. New clubs. There's a club in O'Fallon, Missouri called Backdoor Club, and the guy Michael Tobin who runs it is an amazing human being, and he's what comedy should be. He wants the comic to be funny. He's not like, I don't care if you're offending anybody. It's a comedy club. Just be you, and if you're funny, I don't care. And he just lets me be free. That's one of my favorite rooms. I just booked a return date since we're trying to be open in the near future. You know, it's not happening tomorrow, but I think I just booked a date for September with him. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I hope the club's open. I mean, Florida's open and all that stuff, and I'm glad that they are. And Florida's crazy like that. And I was hoping to see you in Daytona, but in due
Dude, I'm
time.
gonna be. This it's been a year since those Daytona dates were both supposed to happen. Cause that was the first. My last show, um, that wasn't a Zoom show was March 15th, 2020, and my entire tour got shut down day by day, every day. I was supposed to be going. I was supposed to start with down in Daytona with you guys, and then go up to New Orleans. I had shows, Texas, all the way over to Arizona. Go up to back through Texas and come home. I had like a 6 week run that was just completely solidly booked. All dropped off, just all went away. So I will be back down there. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna get with everybody I got with before, and as soon as I get vaccinated and we get safer, just a little bit safer, because I know Florida's already opened back up, haven't they?
Yep,
Yeah, they're doing full shows again.
pretty much. I
Oh
mean,
God, I'm so scared of that. I'm so scared of
eh,
that because I mean, yeah, I'll be back down there. Just give me a little bit more time. We're gonna reschedule everything. I don't know. I haven't got to. I have to make the phone calls. I have to do the Facebook messages to people. But I'll be back down there. We'll do it again. We'll come back and do everything they're supposed to do, and make it even more crazy. Because now I got about another 20 minutes of stuff to talk about from this happened since COVID began. So yeah, I'll be there.
indeed. And when you spoke of the pressure of the laughter, moving you, I felt that because I was at performing at the Relapse Theater when I went on my first tour and last tour, um, and like I never handled like more than 300 people like that. It was like completely sold out. People were sitting on the bottoms and sitting in the back. But when those laughs hit you, it's like it takes forever for those laughs to clear out. It's not like you're performing at a dive bar where there's
Yeah,
like five people and the laughs are instant, and then you can go into your next one.
yeah,
So
you
it's
got to
just,
you have to readjust. First night you do a show like that, you have to readjust because you're used to laughs, but you're not used to like, whoa, what the hell? Why am I getting winded? What's happening? Why
yeah,
is wind hitting me in the face? Oh my God, these people are laughing at me. This hurt. And when it goes wonderful, it's perfect. It's perfection. It's just you get used to it that first night. That second night, your timing's much better, and it just hurts. You destroy that room. You destroy those.
absolutely.
I haven't played the relapse. I haven't done that one. That's in Atlanta, right?
Yep, they
Yeah.
closed down unfortunately, but
Oh man, that sucks. I never got to do that. When I in Atlanta, I always do Rodney's room. You know that what's it called? Star Bar. I usually do Star Bar, and the last time I think I did the Highland Ballroom for Joe Pettis, and I've also done Laughing Skull, and I've done them all pretty much. I think Punchline, all that. Yeah. So
wow,
yeah.
quite the incredible journey so far. This is one of the most amazing interviews I've had so far. So this is pretty neat. Just to pick your brain about everything is just
Talk to me.
awesome,
I'm here for you, brother. I'm here.
awesome, brother. And so you're You started doing stand up full time professionally in July 1996. What was your first professional full time gig like back
Oh
then?
God. Well, that was when I hit the road. But I had been like the backup house MC at the Comedy Zone in Memphis for like maybe a year before that. Maybe 2 years before that, before I went out. And so I was meeting all the comics that you should meet back then. So I was working with everybody. I ended up working back then with like DL and Steve Harvey and anybody who came to town. Is like one the other main dude, Dennis Philippi. He was like, "I'm off. Go handle this." I'm like, "All right, cool, I got it." And so I got to watch A comics all the time. I got to watch the top comics come through and learn from those guys when they'd actually talk to me. And I'm like, all right, you're cool. But when I went on the road, it was a different experience for me because I had been featuring in Memphis and just starting to headline. And when I went on the road, no one knew me, of course. So I was emceeing. I was emceeing shows, and they were just like, "You're the first funny MC we've had." I'm like, "Yeah, because I don't really MC anymore, but thank you. I did it for 3 years, so yay." And it was so much fun because I was actually, because I had an hour when I left Memphis. I had an hour of comedy ready to go, so I could do. So every night I'm doing 15 minutes opening. So 4 nights of the week I'm doing completely different shows. Every night the comics are like, "Why are you doing different stuff?" Because I have it. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? I don't want. I'm bored. Don't bore me. And there was a lot of people. That's my first. I first got disillusioned with comedy back then because I ended up working with people who didn't do it, who stopped writing. And I like to write. I like to come up with new comedy. But so I tell this to everybody. The comic. I have been on the road. I'm sorry. I get sidetracked. I've been on the road for like 6 weeks with comics who didn't want to write. All they were doing was go do an act, drink, pick up some chick. They weren't writing. And the woman who saved my life in comedy, who kept me interested in doing comedy, is, I tell this to everybody. I love her to death. Laurie Kilmartin. We worked together for a week in, I want to say, Augusta, Georgia. I was emceeing, she was the middle act, and there was a headliner who I will never tell the name of, but who was horrible.
Mo, I think your audio might have cut off.
Yeah, it did. I'm sorry.
That's
I apologize.
it's
Yeah. Um, Laurie Kilmartin changed my life in comedy because she wanted to write every night. So every night, we just ignored the headliner and wrote new stuff and tried new stuff out that night. It pissed him off. He was like, "Why aren't you doing the same stuff? I can follow that stuff. What are y'all doing? Y'all just do." He hated us. He hated us. But because of her, I was like, all right, there are still people out there who want to have fun and write comedy. Yay, let's do it. She's been my friend for 20 years now. I love her to death. I wrote an entire article about how she saved my life in comedy and why I still do it. And I don't get to see her that much because we both headline rooms. But when we do, whenever I can see her, I will. If she's on TV, I'm gonna watch her because she's one of the most brilliant comics I love, and she's such a comedic genius slash asshole. I love her. She wrote it entire. She when her dad died, she had all these jokes that she was writing on Twitter that were real about her dad dying, and then she did a special of all the jokes she kept called my dead dad," and it's brilliant. I mean, I'm like, I love her. She's one of my inspirations out there. She might not have been an early influence, but she's definitely an inspiration to me.
indeed, most definitely, and those are the type of folks you need in your life. It's just
Yeah.
those people that are nice and can be mean at the same time. So it's fantastic. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and by 1999, 3 years later, you were headlining, and that's what you were speaking of earlier. And what do you take from your very first headlining set? Like from those 3 years
You
later.
know what? Be honest with you. I don't remember. I don't remember those. I don't remember. I found a copy of my very first. My okay story. My very first headlining gig on the road was Chattanooga Comedy Catch because I was middling for another comic, and I killed him every night. I killed him so bad that they had to switch us, and that was the first time the owner of that club had ever done that. I heard my own story back. Do you know who Corey Ryan Forrester is? He's part of the um Corey Ryan Forrester. He's part of the redneck, not the redneck thing, but Trey Crowder's little group. You know Trey Crowder, right?
I'm not familiar
Okay.
either. Yeah.
The I can't think. They're like not the redneck tour, but they're sorry, someone's texting me. Okay. It's not the redneck tour, but they're the educated redneck. That's what he calls himself, the educated redneck. And Corey Ryan actually told me my story back to him one day. He's like, "Yeah, I know who you are. They talk about you. You're the only headliner. You were one of two only headliners who ever become. They moved you because I'm like, what? You know about this? What are you telling me? Yeah. So it's me. Apparently, in my at the comedy catch in Chattanooga, Tennessee, there was only two people who were feature acts that they bumped up the headline. It's me and another dude named Landry that they didn't know anything about, but that was my first headline gig, and it was great. Except he didn't pay me anymore. It was horrible. They paid me the same feature money, but I had to follow somebody who couldn't follow me.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
yeah.
I've that's I'm speechless. It's just pretty neat. And so
It's a
at
good.
night.
It's a good feeling, man. It was a great feeling. Because the dude was wonderful. He's a great human being, but I mean, he was like a magician and something. And like that was a bad match because I do jokes. I tell the truth and make people laugh about the funny stuff that happens on this world every day. And he started juggling. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. And yeah, yeah.
Indeed. And a year before you started headlining, you were in Bret Michaels' film A Letter from Death Row. Um Bret Michaels film.
You have been all up and down that damn Wikipedia page, haven't you?
Oh, it's all from your website. I was like, picking your brain on your website and stuff like that, and the link that you sent me. So,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
So
Wikipedia is evil. I don't trust that thing. I'm just like,
no, no,
because
you can
anybody can
trust the
edit it.
Wikipedia. I didn't make it, but I didn't make it, but I know who did. Unfortunately, and
Oh,
it's hilarious because it's 100. I mean, the story. There's a story they put on there about me getting kicked out of the Viper Room in Las Vegas, which is true.
oh wow. Well, I've been to the one in L.A., but how did you get kicked out in the one in Vegas?
I didn't. I meant to say Los Angeles. I said
Oh,
Vegas. Sorry. It's how I got kicked out of there
yeah.
is this is 100% true. I promise every word this is true. This was like my very first time in LA. This is 98. My very first time in LA. Maybe 97. It's 98. And my friend Jeremy is with me, and we are drinking at the Viper Room because I had just done a set at the Improv, and it was great. And they let me pass it. They were like, "All right, you're cool. You can come back and do another set tomorrow." Yay! So we're at the Viper Room drinking heavily. Because I don't know if you know this about me. It might not be in my pot. It might not be in my press pack, but I'm a tequila drinker from way back. Um, so I don't know how many shots we were doing. And there's a band on stage that's just weird. They're doing punk rock country. They're doing punk rock covers of country songs, which is hilarious. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. That's ridiculous. They're funny. I should hang out with those guys. But I'm an asshole. Okay, I have no problem saying that to people, especially after I drink. I'm not a mean asshole, but I'm going to have fun. So while we're there, I realized that I'm in the Viper Room, and hey, this is where River Phoenix died. I should probably ask some questions about that. So this is like 5 or 6 years later after he died there, because I used to have a joke about him dying at the Viper Room that he was hooked on. He was attempting his own um oh whatever. I don't worry about it anyway. But so I go up to the security, one of the bouncers. Okay, I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3". I'm over 300 pounds. I'm a big dude. So I'm over there talking to another big dude, and I'm drunk, but I'm poised drunk. I'm not falling down drunk, right? So I just walked over to him like, "Look, man, hey, I got a question to ask you. Where did River Phoenix die?" And he was like, "Man, don't start that. Don't start that." And I'm like, "All right, look, I'm not trying to start nothing. I just want to know Was it around here? And he's like, I can't talk about that. You need to leave that alone. So me being an asshole, a comic, and drunk, I just fell on the floor and started reenacting potential positions that he could have died on.
Go, man.
Yes. So I'm on the floor. I'm like, was it like this? My hands on my shoulder. Was it like my butt's in the air at one time? I'm doing like 4 or 5 of these. And my friend is at the bar. He's already spit his drink on a girl. He's already literally spit drink on another woman because he's like, I can't believe you're doing that. And I'm doing this and I'm having fun. The band is still playing and they're playing like I don't know what they're playing a punk rock cover of Jolene or something. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm doing this, and the security guard is trying not to laugh at me. He's trying not to laugh. He's getting mad because I'm down here for like 5 minutes, and other security guards come over. He calls the other security guard over, and it took like 6 guys to pick me up and carry me out and throw me out. But that's what happened. Like 6 people picked me up and threw me. And I'm yelling the whole time. I just want to know which way it was. Where was Joaquin when it happened? I'm just being an asshole. And here's the problem: that band that was playing uh, at that time was called Recreational Racism. Okay, that was the name of the band. But later on, that band became known as Pussifer, and that was Maynard James Keenan in costume with the band before they called themselves Pussifer from Tool. You know the band Tool? That's
Yep.
who the fuck that was. One of my favorite bands. I got kicked out of scene on one of their proto exhibitions before they ever became big. I got kicked out because I'm an asshole. Yes, that happened. That literally happened.
Wow, that's incredible. Like my very first concert journalism, I was a concert journalist out in LA, and my very first venue that I did a professional article was at the Viper Room. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a deep connection with those, and I've seen Pussifer from like there and in Florida, and so it's pretty neat. Some of my pals that I met are in the group that I met through a perfect circle when I
Oh,
went
cool.
backstage. So I know the whole, they're all like, I covered Filch at the Roxy, and so like Jeff Friedel was a drummer for at the time for Richard Patrick and Filcher, and Richard saw me write in my journal because I'm an old school journalist, and he grabbed my journal from my pen and my pad from my hands and just autographed it and handed it right back on the stage. It was just insane. So it's just the craziest stories we have here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you know these people. That's awesome. That's real awesome.
Indeed. Most definitely. And it's so neat that you had that the early Pussifer story. That's just incredible. So
Yeah, I get. I'm very. It's very weird. I have a lot of Forrest Gump moments of people I shouldn't be around, but I am around them. I don't realize it for later on. It's just very weird. My life is very odd.
awesome. And odd is the best way to live. So
Yes, yes, it is.
indeed. So how did you land the role with in the Bright Michaels film, A Letter from Death Row?
My manager back at then, my manager at the time, she lived in Nashville, so she had all the stuff like that. Because I did a couple other things in Nashville that are very weird. So she called me and said, "Hey, you want to do an audition for this Brett Michaels thing?" And I'm like, "Brett Michaels from Poison?" She's like, "Yeah, he's making a movie." And once I stopped laughing about that, I'm like, "Sure, I'll go up there and audition." And I did. I drove 3 hours from Memphis, drove up to the audition, and Brett Michaels was the one of my the I'm in 2 scenes of this stupid movie, 2 scenes, and one of the scenes is with Brett Michaels. So I'm auditioning with Brett Michaels at right there. We're running lines against each other. He's like, "I like you. You're gonna be in the movie." I'm like, "Cool." And then he stood up and he came up to my waist, and I just laughed, okay, because he's tiny. He's a tiny man. He's a very tiny man, and but he's a cool dude. He's a real cool dude. So they picked a bunch of comics. There's a bunch of comics. Um, there's a bunch of comics in that movie. There's a guy named Tim Northern. There's a guy named Reverend Billy Wirtz I mentioned before. A couple other guys. I can't remember. But if you ever find the movie at a bargain bin at Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's where you'll be able to find it. It's on YouTube right now if you want to see how really bad this movie is. It's horrible because the movie is written, produced, co-directed by Brett Michaels. Okay, that's who did this movie, and I'm in the movie for 2 scenes. We spent a whole day and a half at the old closed down prison in Nashville filming this thing. And when I saw the movie, when I finally got a copy of the movie, because I literally I had never seen the movie, and I'm in Nebraska one night after shows. We're at Walmart, and I'm at the bargain bin, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm in this movie. I found it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm in this movie. What in the hell? This is the movie I'm in, and it's yeah, I found it, and I'm like, what the hell? So I bought it, and I brought it home, and I watched. It. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. I have literally never watched the entire movie. I'm not trying to be a problem. I've never watched the entire movie. It's so bad. I have watched the first 15 minutes and had to skip to my scenes because I'm like, oh no, this is bad. I mean, Brett Michaels, if you ever make a sequel, I'll be in it. I don't care. I'll play my role again, Antoine Jackson, the prison librarian. I'll do that. But but yeah, so that's how I got. I mean, I just auditioned. He hired me from the audition, and we did it. And my light just went out. So hold on. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that. My light
Oh,
just went out. I don't know why. There we go. And I got the part. I did the scenes. Um, I watched it. I regretted nothing.
indeed. I gotta look it up on YouTube so I can
Yeah,
watch it.
look it
And
up. Trust me, you will curse me out if you watch the whole thing because people have done that. I've talked about this on other podcasts, and then they come watch the movie, and I get emails. That was the biggest piece. I told you not to watch it. I didn't tell you to watch it. That's on you. I told you how bad it was. I'm in it. I can tell you how bad the movie is. It's hard.
indeed, and I expected him to be tall because like of his show on VH1, but I guess I can't believe he's that short, and it's
He's
good
like
to know.
he's like Prince height. He's
Wow,
seriously Prince. He's like fat. He's going okay. He might be 5'4" in heels because he always wear cowboy boots, but he is he's tiny, tiny man.
wow, and that they say that about Tom Cruise too. It's like it's incredible how Hollywood makes him so tall.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no. That's why I think I don't get enough parts in Hollywood because I'm a 6'3" person. I tower over everybody. I'm just like, oh God, hi, how you doing? Don't hurt me. I'm like, hey.
indeed. So I was impressed because Keenan Ivory Wayans from In Living Color was impressed by you due to a roast, and he invited you to be the opening act to be on tour back in 1999 as
Yeah,
well. And what was that like working with Keenan Ivory Wayans?
that was fun. We did a bunch of shows. I kind of terrorized Keenan the whole time because that's who I am. The first night we worked together, they called me down. The first time I ever worked with them, we were at the Dallas Improv, and they'd say, "Hey, come on down here in the middle for Keenan, just in case. We don't know if he's stand up funny, so just you'll be fine if you." So the first night I come out and do my show, and he doesn't watch my show at all. He does not. He does not. He's got his hood up the whole time. He's being aloof or whatever. And after the show, my friend Art and his girlfriend, we're all in the green room. And the green room back then, down there, probably still is, was the office. You're in the office, they're just hanging out. And Art was the sound guy, and Art was all up in his ass. It's like, hey, my girlfriend loves the movie Low Down Dirty Shame. Do you mind? I hate to bother, but can you autograph this? And she's right here. She wants to say hi. She loves the movie Low Down Dirty Shame. That's her favorite movie. She's watched it 700 times. And I said in my most polite voice, I said, yeah, she had to watch that 700 times to get the taste of Glimmer Man out her mouth, which, which then Keenan let down his hood and looked at me and was like, oh, you think you're funny, don't you? He's like, no, sir, I know I'm funny. You should probably watch me next tomorrow night. And I said that to him. And Art, my friend, the sound dude, just walks away, walks away. And the next night I'm doing I walk on stage and like 3 minutes I get on stage I see Keenan in the corner actually watching my act. He's actually watching my show, and he was like, "Okay, you are funny." I was like, "Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that." And that meant I couldn't let it show. I couldn't let it show, but that meant huge amount to me, huge, because Keenan was one of the reasons I became a comic. He really was because his not his first movie, but the one movie that got everybody to know who he was "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker," which oh oh right here up right here, and then In Living Color come out. So we first worked with each other like 4 years after In Living Color had gone off. So nobody really knew him as a stand up anymore. He didn't do a lot of stand up. The best stand up of the family is Damon. He's the best writer. But he's a good stand up. Don't get me wrong, Keenan. I'm not dissing you. I respect you. But so we have a good week. We hang out. We don't really hang out, but we have a good week. talk. We have some notes. 6 weeks later, I'm doing a tour. I'm back in Texas doing a hell gig. And when I say hell gig, I mean hell gig. Uh, there was another comic named Anthony Andrews, and myself, and we were doing this show together. And we walked in prior to our being on stage, and I talked to the owner. And I was like, "Hey man, who was the comic here last week?" And he said this, and he said this, no joke. Oh, some other colored fella, and we're like, "Oh shit, it's gonna be one of these."
Oh,
Okay. So, but yeah, so that night after that happened, as I'm going back to my room, about to lock my door because I know where I am, uh, Keenan's assistant calls me and says, "Hey, you want us to go on tour as Keenan opening act?" I was like, yes, please." Yeah, so we did about, I think, 6 weeks out, and we do just weekends. We'd fly out somewhere, do some weekend shows, come back, and meet back up again.
indeed. I
Yeah.
dealt with a hell gig like that this past Friday, and I was in the middle of Florida, and there was just these racist folks. I knew they were racist because they were older, and and they just gave me the side eye because I was like the only person of color on the bill. And so I was just giving him all my dirty jokes. And my buddy, my friend Kevin from Daytona, he was like, Sreth, like a long time ago, you're the comics comic. Even if people aren't laughing at you, the comics are laughing at your jokes.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you said all those dirty things in front of those old folks, I was dying laughing, and it caused me to die laughing on stage. I'm like, they deserved it. So I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
just
yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I how much? I mean, how? I have a funny story about that very night because it's so. I'm not gonna say the thing. I'll tell you a brief thing. That night, that show was so rowdy, so crazy. But I thrive off rowdy. That's why I was built for it. It makes me happy. And this one woman wouldn't shut up, right? And hecklers, you can take them as
oh, you cut off again.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. So what happened was this one woman would not shut up, would not shut up, would not shut up. And after the nice heckle lines, the nice things I do to shut somebody up, I finally called her like, "Look, you C word, shut the F up right now before I do something." And the funny thing happened. This other woman jumps up and says, "Hey, you can't call her a C word. Only another woman can call her a C word." I was like, "Okay, bitch, call her a C word." And she did. She did. She's like, "Shut up, gut." And I'm like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god." That right there, I knew I was safe for that night and I wasn't going to die because they were on my side. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And so, in 2003, you were giving your own Las Vegas show, the Mo
Yes.
Funny show at the Casino Royale. Was that like a residency, like they do with a lot of the other
Yeah,
comics?
that was a residency before they called it a residency. Yeah, there was two clubs, there were two comedy zones out there, and the guy who owned them ended up uh seeing me on do one of the clubs, and the first time he saw me, it was press night where all the press people came out, and I sometimes do weird shows, so I didn't want to. They were all far back. They didn't want to sit up front, so I just walked off stage and did my show from the middle of the crowd. And he'd never seen anybody do that. He's like, "That's insane. What did you just do?" And I'm just like, "I had fun." And next thing I know, I get an offer for my own show out there. They took one of the buildings and said, "This is yours. You do what you need with it." And I'm like, "Okay, let's have fun." And I got my friend Matt Davis, and we had supposedly a 6 month contract that ended in 2 months because he was allegedly doing more with the money than he should have been doing. In other words, a lot went up a certain person's nose. There you
Mm,
go. So when Bill started 2 months afterwards, and Bill started not being paid, and we were like, "Hey, why are the billboards gone?" "Oh, you still owe them $32,000 for billboards." "Oh, okay. Why did my check bounce? We need to get this now before I break your legs." Yeah. So yeah, that's what happened there. It
well,
was fun when it lasted. It was fun. We actually came up with a rule. The rule was when MoAlexander is the voice of reason, be afraid. Because we were doing some stupid stuff in Vegas. We did some silly, and I'm just like, we shouldn't probably do this. And somebody was like, "Oh God, you said no." Oh,
indeed, cocaine is a hell of a drug, even in Sin
oh,
City. So
Yeah. I don't do cocaine, but I'm gonna tell you that was that. Yeah, okay.
yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
I'm straight edge, and I just go up on stage sober all the time. And
yeah.
but
I can't. No offense to you, but yeah, no.
yeah, indeed,
I'm,
for sure.
I applaud what you do, sir. I can do it sober. I do it all the time sober. Well, soberish. Give me 2 or 3 shots of tequila and I'm good. And I'm like, I'm not drunk, but I'm just slightly looser and not. I will do whatever I need to do to have fun.
Indeed, and sober is a Tool song, going back to
Mhm. That is a tool.
Maynard
That's the
James
first song
Keenan.
that the first time I ever saw that Tool video sober was watching when they used to have 120 minutes on MTV, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? I need this in my life. I don't know what this is, but I need it all right now. And it took me a little while because they didn't even play the name of the song. I mean, they just played the video with no name. I'm just like, I need this. And when I finally found it, I've been a huge Tool, Maynard, Pussifer, Perfect Circle fan since.
Indeed, he's quite a talented man, and I in his when I drank wine in LA, I found it in a liquor store there in Studio City, and it was a pretty tasty wine. So, and
I
that's why
have
I
a
got
bottle. I have a bottle of his right now. I bought a bottle online of his stuff. Yeah.
awesome. Which one did you get?
I got. Oh crap! It's not the Judas. It's from the other. He has the one vineyard. It's what's the other vineyard name? Because
There's
he has
Caduceus and
it's Caduce.
Merkin.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
what it is. It's Caduceus Cellars. What's one of those? Have
awesome.
one of those.
I picked the Chupacabra, the red wine, and my buddies and I, whenever we celebrate out in LA, we drank that. So
That's a
it's
good thing
not
to celebrate with. Yeah.
indeed, it wasn't expensive either, so it's
No.
grand.
He
So
makes a good. He makes a good inexpensive wine. I'm like, okay, all right, I can deal with this.
absolutely, indeed. And the past few years, you've been on the radio on Bob and Tom in Indianapolis and Mancow, Chicago. And what was that like being when you heard your voice on the radio for the first time?
Well, it wasn't. Hold on. Give me a second. My light keeps dying for some reason. I don't know what's happening here.
Oh,
I do not know what's happening here. Hold on 1 second. It's not the first time I did radio. I did radio back in college, and when I first started doing stand. Well, not first started doing stand up, but one of the perks for me was when I started off in Memphis. A lot of the times, owner of the club didn't want to go to radio. So I was the dude like, Mo, pick the comic up, take him to radio, please. I'm like, cool. So the guys at a radio station in Memphis called Rock 103, um, they gave me, after the third or fourth time, they were like, okay, you can talk now. I'm like, hey. And it got to the point where they were like, oh, you really are funny. Here, fill in for this guy for a week. So there were three, they used to call it the Wake Up Crew. And it was Bev Johnson, Bad Dog, and Tim. And a lot of times Bad Dog had to go places. And he was like, Mo, you want to fill in? I'm like, yes, I will fill in. Thank you. So I would fill in. So when I got to do stuff like Bob and Tom and Mancow, it was just like regular. I'm like, okay, where's my mic? Where's my setup? Let's do this. The Mancow show is kind of an ass because he wanted to be. He thinks he's funny, and I'm not a Mancow fan. I don't care if he bashes me on the radio. I don't care because he tried to will me in on some kind of like a flatbed trying to be funny, and it made me fall and hurt myself. And he wouldn't give me the audio tape, even though it was hilarious. He was like, "You're gonna sue us." I should, but no. I want this to be funny. Give it to me. Wouldn't do it. He's a problem. I'm not a fan.
indeed. And they say radio is dead, but I totally disagree because like I watched the opening act, the movie, and then
Mm-hmm.
how he messed up on the radio, and then but then when I went on the radio, like I promoted my show at the Orlando Improv because I produced it and booked it, and then like 280 people out of the 300 showed up. I'm like, and it was just on a Wednesday night. I'm like, radio is not dead. Like you just gotta
Radio
learn
is
how to
not
promote yourself.
radio is not dead. It is dying. Those 200 people do not know how to use a podcast. They don't.
Yep.
That's the word you get. They don't understand how a podcast is used, so they're gonna still come to your show, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm not disrespecting that, but it is a dying medium because a lot of times, a lot of radio stations to save money just have syndicated shows. And why should I listen to and be in my car listen to a syndicated show when I rather hear what's happening in my hometown? I want to hear the Memphis DJs or something. I don't want to hear the same thing that I can hear in Florida and all that other stuff. It's they just pipe all the same thing in. It saves some money, but I'd rather have live DJs from my hometown doing it. Either that or it's pre-recorded and they just play the thing. That's why radio was done. They don't understand that. Yes, I have an iPod or iPhone full of music, but at the same time, I want to hear something different. They're not give. That's why radio is dying. It's not dead yet. It is on life support, but I would love for radio to be a little bit better. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
why a lot of people went to XM because you could go to XM and hear Howard Stern or back in the day Opie and Anthony. It was at least interesting. This is at least interesting and real. This all canned radio is just I mean, don't get me wrong. Give me a rate. I will do every city I go into. I'll do morning radio if I can, just to get people out. But most of the time, it's just like I like it when it's like this. We're doing an hour conversation at least. Not like okay, you woke up for 6 o'clock in the morning to do 7 minutes and then you can go back to bed. No, keep me on for an hour because 7 minutes is not who I am. You can't find out who I am in 7 minutes. You can be offended by something I say in 7 minutes, but that's not going to help anybody.
Indeed, most definitely. I agree wholeheartedly, and that's why I'm doing this because it's comics from coast to coast, and it's just like the most of that are like the majority of my guests have been from Chicago, and I'm like, this is pretty wild. And I'm from Florida, well, Colorado, but in Florida now. But
Mm.
it's just
We're in Colorado.
Pueblo, Colorado. That's
Pueblo.
how.
Yeah. Oh, that's why you know Charlie.
Yeah, that's how I know Charlie. He was my roast
Okay.
master. My very first comedy show ever. He was my roast master. It was just
Okay.
fantastic.
Well, it's funny because right now his boss is tech like every time the lights go out, go out. She's like, "How do I get this computer working?" I'm like, "I told you I'm on a podcast. I'll call you in a few. I promise." So
Indeed, most definitely. And I had technical issues before the show started with the whole modem thing, and then with your lights and your sound. And but now,
what the hell?
exactly. So I wanted to be respectful of your time because we were supposed to start like at for 2 o'clock your time, and that's 3:55. So how much time do you have left to spare? Because I want to be respectful of your time.
You got me for let's see what it's 55. I mean, you got me for another 15 minutes, and then I got to go and get those people websites.
Uh,
Computer working.
Sounds good. We'll go through your bio and we'll do like the nominees, and then to be my guest, and then we'll do like a part two with the usual questions that I have. Then, if that's
Okay,
all right with you, cool.
that's all right.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Sounds great. And so you were there semi-finalist on the San Francisco comedy competition and the Seattle comedy competition.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what were those like performing on competitions out
Those
there?
aren't really those are weird competitions because I've done competitions before, but those are the thing I don't like about competitions if they're not judged by other comics are the people who judge them, because a lot of times they're like, okay, you own a restaurant, you like cheese, and uh, you do drugs, but you're available for tonight. Cause come judge this thing, um, because I love the San Francisco comedy competition. I love the Seattle competition. If I ever chose to do one again, it'd probably be Seattle because there's a lot less driving than San Francisco. Because the San Francisco comedy competition is so much fun, but very little of it is in San Francisco. I mean, one night you're in San Francisco, the next night you're in Medford, Oregon, the next night you're in Lake Tahoe, the next night I'm like, Jesus Christ! Just doing that one the first time, I think we put just doing it, not just doing the shows for that one. I think I put like 2,000 miles on my car in just a week and a half. So
Wow.
yeah. I mean, not getting out there, not getting back, just to travel for that. Um, I love it. It's a different entity. It's a different entity than what you know with the comedy competition. The reason I one of the times I've done each of them twice, and one of the times I missed being in the final by 0.0005, something minuscule. Um, Probably because somebody didn't like the way I sneezed or looked wrong on stage or something. But it's always fun to go see yourself against people you think might be better than you as a comic. That's why I
And
went out there. I wanted to see. Yes, I have taken the South. I took over. I did the South. I've done the North. But going out there, it's like let me put myself against the big people out there who I don't know, and it was always fun just to go up and see. Okay, I see what you're doing, and I made great friends and connections out there. Um, from those shows. I'm still friends with a lot of those guys, like Trenton Davis, Mr. Persimmon Pants. I recommend you ever see him, go see him. He's ridiculous. Tony Baker, very funny dude. Very funny dude. Probably my biggest competition ever. Tony Baker. I love that guy. He's one of those guys that you see him work, you just like, I hate you so much. I hate you. I hate you. Or I hate what you do. I don't hate what you're doing. I love what you're doing. It's just I'm mad I can't do what you're doing. It's just I love that guy. Tony Baker's hilarious. Zoltan Kazal, great comic. Um, I can't even think of everybody who I love, but you know, you get to meet other cool people. Yeah,
Indeed.
I would love to do it again. Maybe
Absolutely. And
it's just a lot of craziness.
is Tony Baker the one that does the voiceover for the animals?
That's
Oh,
Tony
okay.
Baker.
I love that. It's great stuff. Indeed.
Yeah, Tony's ridiculous with that animal stuff. I was
Indeed.
watching one of those videos last night. My girl was showing me, and I'm like, "Oh, that's Tony Baker." I was like, "Okay, Tony, yeah,
Indeed.
Tony Baker's a beast." I have to say,
And it's so true what you said. It's like learning from people that are better than you, and
yes,
that's what I love doing stand up is just watching people that are better than me because I'm like, okay, like you said, I see what you did there and how you paused and so forth, and it's just your cadence, just like, all right, this is how I have to step up my game too. So it's awesome.
yeah.
And so you've also performed in a number of comedy festivals, Asheville Comedy Fest in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Altercation Comedy Festival in 2016 and 2018 with our buddy JT Habersat,
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins Comedy Festival 2017, Memphis Comedy Festival in 2017, North Carolina Comedy Festival in 2018.
There's a lot of festivals, dude. I don't have to list them off because you know I was supposed to do like 4 last year, but then 2020 hit. So you know, festivals are fun. Festivals are fun for many reasons. Uh, oh, okay. Thanks for putting that out there. Um, Festivals are fun for many reasons, mainly because as a headliner, you don't get to hang out with other headliners that often because we're always we're always traveling the next week. So when you in one of those times where you get to go and hang out at a show and hang out with comics you haven't seen in a while, and it's just fun. It's a lot of fun. Like me and Ty Glass headlined both Asheville and one in Milwaukee. No, excuse me, Minneapolis the same year. So we got to hang out like 2 or 3 different times. The first time he was like, "Okay, you're Mo." And then the second time he was like, "Mo." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this. Come on."
Absolutely. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
love putting together my fest. Is like we're going on 8 years now. And it's like having Charlie back and John Brown and and more comics
Wait,
from.
what fest do you do? What fest is your fest?
Oh, they called it Sreth Fest, and it's not my idea. The town named it after me, so I tried to change the name, but they won't let me change it. I'm like, all right, fine, it's stuck.
That's
So,
hilarious.
yeah. So we're going on 8 years in Colorado, and we're going on our first year in Daytona Beach, where you were supposed to perform this year. Because I was like, I can't afford to bring the Florida comics to Colorado, so I might as well just start another one here and bring all the Florida comics and at this fest in Florida instead. So we're gonna
Well,
do that.
when is yours, sir?
Mine's gonna be in July in Colorado. We're gonna be outside and safe, and then the one in Daytona Beach is in October. So it's gonna be like Bike Week, like what we're going through now, but for stand-up comics. So it's gonna be Comics Week from like a whole week. So it's gonna be pretty gnarly.
We might need to talk. I'll be in Colorado in July. We might need to talk.
Awesome, that'd be fantastic. It'll be July 16th to the 19th. So the 16th and the 19th are the comedy festivals, and the Saturday and Sunday is gonna be the music. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, yeah, let's talk off air. We'll talk
Awesome.
about that.
Sounds good, Mo. Sounds good. And so let's see here. Um, and
You
so
know Jill. You know Jill Carlson.
I don't. I know more Florida comics than I do Colorado
Okay.
comics. So
Okay,
it's
because
like
they have a festival they were trying to do in Trinidad, I think. Is that it? Trinidad? Anyway, we'll talk later. I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
absolutely no worries, no worries. And so you were in December 15th. You were on Kevin Hart's Heart of the City in Memphis, and
Hmm.
I remember watching your episode and your interview with Kevin. And what was that like to be in being interviewed by Kevin Hart and being part of the show?
Man, I will be honest, and I'm gonna get in trouble for this again. I don't care. I don't care. Kevin's a cool dude. Kevin's a cool dude. He really is a cool dude. We didn't get to hang out too much, but he's a cool dude. I have no problem with Kevin. Or see, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we'll figure this out. Yeah, okay, we'll figure this out. I don't know why this is a new ring light. So okay, so here's the deal with Kevin. I love Kevin to death. He's a good human being. He's a good human being. I would hang out with him any day of the week. But here's the deal: the interview portion of that show pissed me off so bad. Not because of him, not because of him, but during the editing of that program, they edited out my best part, and I'm still mad about it. And if Kevin Hart or any Kevin Hart people are listening to this or watching this, release the real tape or at least send it to me, because he asked everybody the same question at one point, because it's four of us. I'm at the end, and he asked the question, "What do you hope to gain from this opportunity, Suresh? What do you hope to gain from this opportunity?" And me being who I am, I told Kevin Hart to his face, I want to be the adult sized version of him. And Kevin and Kevin stuttered for a second. He was like, "Did you did you just say? Did you just say you want me?" And he lost it. He lost his mind. He ran around the room laughing so hard because he couldn't believe that I said that to him. I'm like, I'm not scared of anybody. I'll tell you straight to your face. I want to be the adult sized version of you, you big tall midget ass. I don't care. Yes, I said that to him, and the response of him laughing and running around the room like a crazy person, I want everybody to see.
Indeed. So, is Brett Michaels and Kevin Hart the same height? I'm just
I
curious.
think Kevin Hart might be taller. I think Kevin Hart is taller than Brett Michaels. I have to say that. He does have that on Brett Michaels.
Indeed. So we're raising funds for we'll do a part two of this, and we'll go through your bio for the other half, because I know that we're running short on time. So with that being said, Mo, I can't wait to do a part two with you. And but we're raising funds for Friends for Life. And why did you pick those fine folks to raise funds for?
Friends for Life is an organization out of Memphis that raises money for people with HIV and AIDS. And coming up in the 80s and 90s, like I did, I had a lot of people I lost because of HIV and AIDS. Because, just like now with some people not wearing masks out in public because of COVID, there are people back there who didn't want to wear condoms and ended up catching some stuff that nobody should ever have. So they raise money and help people out who still have HIV, because it's still out there. It's not as bad. I mean, I don't think it's nowhere near as reported on as it was. And there's new drugs to help people survive and thrive with HIV and not get the whole full blown AIDS thing. But some of those people still have stigma attached to them, and I want to make sure that the people who I lost and no one will ever be lost like some of the friends I lost back in the '90s because of it. So, if you can help, if they can help out Friends for Life, that's a wonderful thing. I have no problem with that.
Indeed, and we're also raising funds for you because during COVID, you refurbished old laptops for the kids in the Memphis area who don't have
Yeah,
computers for school.
because when COVID hit, it hit a lot of people. It just they shut down everything like bam. It was like Monday you went to school, Tuesday you're out till 2021. I mean, they're just now letting schools have students in them here in Memphis. So the entire thing at the beginning of the thing was they had 6 or 8 weeks left of school, and a lot of people didn't have computers. There's a lot of people who do not have computers. You and me have computers, yay! But there's people who work hard, who take a bus to go to school, and do all this stuff, but they don't have their own computer. They might have a phone, but they don't have a full fledged computer. So what happened was I said, okay, I'm off work doing stand up. I have a little bit of money put aside. Um, I'm going to ask for people to give me computers that they no longer need, and I'll refurbish them. Because a lot of people, I mean, I had a friend give me a computer that was like 2 years old. He's like, it's too slow for me. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you. No, you do you. It's a 2 year old computer. This is going to make somebody super happy. Your computer's slow because you didn't put enough RAM in there and you got to steal a non SSD drive. That will cost me $40. We put this in. Some kid got a great computer that's going to last him at least 3 or 4 years, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I don't have the money to do that. I mean, I have provided, I think the count was 33 computers, 43, I think it's 33 computers to people that people would donate, and then I'd fix up, give them my time, and a couple people, some people donated some money to me so I could buy hard drives and RAM and upgrade the laptop to where they can be used, because I can use a 10-year-old Windows computer and that might have a actual, a spinning hard drive in it. We stick an SSD in there, throw Linux on it, throw Zoom on it, everything they need, Google School or Google Teacher, whatever it's called. You put that on there. Those kids have a computer. They can do their homework. They're not going to grow up to be stupid because they didn't have the money to have a computer. So that's what I'm doing. So if you want to donate to me, that's where the money will go. That's all I'm doing. That's if you want to send me money on Venmo, my little thing is flashed across the screen. Venmo, Cash App. If you send me any money, it's going to hard drive. Because even though they're letting students back into school now, there are still students out there who are trying not to get COVID. People who are sick, who have immunocompromised bodies, who can't go back into school yet until most of the country is vaccinated. So I still have 15 computers that I need to get out of here. Um, but I don't have the cash to get the hard drives or not the hard drives, the SSD drives I need, all that. So anybody want to donate to that. That's where the money's going. I'm not going to spend it on anything but that. That's all I need.
Indeed. So everyone watching at home, now or in the future, we have a viewer at home. So if you'd like to jump in the live chat, you're more than welcome to, but be nice to us. But donate to Mo's Cash App and Venmo to raise funds for the kids to build the laptops during this time, and also donate to Friends for Life and like Facebook, Mo on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and follow him on there. So I'm trying to raise your social media numbers up so you can get into those A room clubs again once they open up
That's what I
again.
want, baby. That's what I want. I need those people. And that's really sad too. It's all about social media now, because I've
Yeah.
worked with some comics who are not. I'm not going to give any names because I'm not trying to burn those bridges yet. But there's some comics who are not funny who have been very famous on social media, and then they go up and do a show, and it's like, oh, it's the exact same thing you showed them before. You're not doing anything different to make them. Oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be real bad. I guess I'll be closing by the end of the week. You can do your 30 minutes in the middle, and I'll take up the rest of the time. But I've seen that, and it's kind of scary. But because you need to have if you're gonna do something silly online, I applaud you. But if you're gonna try to go on stage with it, you better have some act.
So
You
true.
better.
I've seen that before at a showcase. I'm like, who are these people you're talking about? Why isn't this not personal?
Mm-hmm.
It's just topical humor. I just don't get it like as much, and that's why it's not in my material. I'd much
Well,
rather
I don't
be.
mind. I don't mind topical, but topical is gonna fade. But if you don't have, if you're doing a sketch on a social media platform, and then all you're going to do is that same sketch in person, that's not going to work. You have to have a reason for that sketch to exist. You're going to have a foundation and a backdrop and a situation. What's next of that sketch? There's this one funny guy on TikTok, um, a guy who calls himself BMO the Prince. He's not a comedian, but he is a great TikTok performer. He's hilarious. He has like 8 characters he does. It's all him in different versions of the characters. Like right now, he has boomers, millennials, Generation X, and Zennials all fighting each other. It's hilarious. He does the Disney princess, like Aladdin and all these. It's hilarious what he does. I don't. He doesn't try to do stand up comedy, but I mean, because if he would, that wouldn't work there. It wouldn't work unless you're doing something completely different of that same genre that we haven't seen already. But yeah, but a lot of people, I applaud that dude. I would hang out with him in a heartbeat because he's crazy. Something wrong with him. I like him.
Indeed, and book Mo through his website and subscribe to his YouTube channel too. And so Mo, this is the stand up speakeasy, and we're almost at our deadline here on because the time frame, but we're gonna do a part two for sure. I promise.
Anytime,
Um,
man. Anytime. Hit me back. We'll do this again.
Indeed.
I want to come down and do some rest fest, either Colorado or Florida. I don't care. Do both. I don't care. Don't do both.
Awesome. And so Mo, this is the stand-up speakeasy. This is stand-up secret society of stand-up comics. You got to know somebody to know somebody to get into the club, and so it's during the Prohibition, the Roaring Twenties, because it's 2021 and so forth. I started this like back in last year, so it's fantastic so far with all the comics I've met across the country, like yourself, Mo. And with that being said, Mo, which comics out of Memphis or across the country would you like to see as my future guest on the show?
I would like to see Ray Porter from Fayetteville, Arkansas, or oh, definitely Ray. You got to talk to Ray because Ray is. is a piece of work. He's ridiculous. But if not Ray, I would say Rena Calm out of Chicago. She's in Milwaukee now, but Rena Calm or Ray Porter. Those are the two people I'm going to tell you about. Or okay, third one, my friend Richard Douglas Jones. Let me give him a shout out just because. Just
Awesome,
because.
fantastic. I performed with Mr. Swanson and Rena Calm at Rain Dogs when I was on my tours. We
Okay.
did it. It's so gnarly that you mentioned Rena, so
I
I'm definitely
love
gonna
Rena.
reach out.
I think one of my last shows I saw, one of my last shows on the road was with me and Rena ended up doing a show at a brewery together in Colorado. I can't remember when it was so far along. It was January of 2020. That's when the last time I saw her. So I
Wow,
love Rena to death. I love her to death.
and her puns. She's fantastic with the
Yes,
puns.
she's
Awesome.
ridiculous.
So we're gonna go off there and do a part two in the future. I'll give you some future dates you can pick from, because and all that good stuff. And so, with that being said, uh, be safe, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy. I'll talk with Mo about the fast and stuff. So we'll see you soon. Be well,
Peace.
everyone.